Ryan Adams, and how are you?
I'm fine. How are you nuts, man?
Oh, they're a little salty.
They don't come great with the coffee, I guess. Hey,
That's actually pretty good. Try them. I don't even know what the green ones are, but they're quite good.
the green ones here, pumpkin,
Pumpkin
seeds, yeah. Yeah, very good. Hey, you went to the Anne Frank house today. How was that?
It was amazing. It was very beautiful and very strange experience for me because I'm quite fond of her diaries and the story, and found a book that I hadn't read because I read Miep Gies's book. And then the critical collection, I've read that. So, and I carry it with me. It's one of two books I always have with me when I'm on the road because I'm on the road all the time. And so I have to have some stuff. So I bring the journals of Sylvia Plath, the collected ones, and then usually like the Diary of Anne Frank, just because I can read it over and over. So I went there and I was stunned. I couldn't speak to my friends after. I was supposed to go out to dinner and drinks after last night, and I didn't go because I've been touring quite extensively and my schedule's been full. So I left and a friend called and I was speechless. I couldn't even talk. I was like, my mind was blown. So I just curled up they ordered some food for me, and then I just read that book and fell asleep at like 9 o'clock, and I got like 14 hours of sleep.
So that was a good
I
part.
got up today and I go, oh gosh, my day off, slept. But I went to the museum for a whole hour, they let me, and must have went back into the different rooms, a couple of times each, and we just stood there and was just blown away.
Can you imagine that people live there? I mean, it's such a small place,
Well, it's not even just that. It's less about that, but more about thinking about...
It really happened there.
Yeah, thinking about Margot and Anna and just Otto and everybody in there, Peter, just thinking like wanting to go and just get them out of there or something. I can't describe it because so many of those images are in my mind forever, and to be standing in the same place, and obviously it wasn't a place that they were fond of, but there was a place that they were in, so maybe your soul kind of tries to find them a little bit or something.
Yeah, I was wanted to ask you about that because she's on your thank list in the booklet of your new CD, Gold, which is out now in Holland. Can you still talk about that album, actually? Because you've been doing press all day.
Well, kind of, a little bit. I mean, talk about which part?
Music, lyrics. You don't talk about lyrics too much, right?
I don't know. They kind of are what they are, aren't they? You'd have to ask me specifics, really. What do you
I guess
know specifically about?
Well, New York, for instance, the starter. It starts off with this Pete Townsend kind of riff guitar from a Pinball Wizard.
I don't know why people think that. I'm actually thinking it's more Street Fighting Man. It's an inverted A chord, which was very much a thing that I think that Keith had learned from Chuck Berry, but then you put it into like a swarthy sort of waltzing beat and it gets nuts. I've never heard the song Pinball Wizard because I don't listen to The Who. My brother liked The Who, but I never heard it.
I think you will be amazed because it's very much like that.
Well, that's cool then.
You met Elton John, for instance. I mean, he was in the movie.
Oh, that's different. Well, I've never seen the movie. I'm not a Who fan. I like the Kinks.
The song is about New York, the town, but it's about you leaving a girl, right? And leaving the town.
I think it's about both. I mean, I think it's about the reverence of the city, and I think it's about what it's like to be there, and I think it's about I was trying to capture a feeling of this, of like, the city's quick, so I made the words quick and made the rhythms quick, and it's supposed to be a snapshot of a period of time in New York that I spent, and so to me, it's more of nostalgia and celebrating that moment.
I think it's a very positive record, actually.
I think it is too. I think it needed to be.
Because when you listen to the album, it's like, okay, you leave New York. Actually, I think when you listen to the album, you listen to the lyrics, you're on a trip, You leave New York, and there you are in L.A., and the sun comes up and the sun sets.
Mm-hmm. It's definitely like there's a geographical movement in the record, and I think that's a really cool thing. I'm sure it's been done before, but I definitely wanted to do it myself because I had just actually physically done that. And it was an easy thing to do because when I ended up planting my feet in Los Angeles and got a chance to be there and really write and really think about stuff, I got an overview that I needed, I got an overview that made a lot of sense to me, and I could go back and look at my past and really connect with it how I wanted to.
Still, I think, I mean, everybody who's been lovesick once recognized a lot of things in your lyrics, and they're really personal, I think.
I think they can be, but I think that they can be transcended so that other people can understand them, probably. This record is, I think, less heartbroken and more nostalgic and romantic. I liked the idea of being a little bit more romantic for a while and less like Heartbreaker. My record before this was just so beaten down and lost, and then the record even before that, Pneumonia, was also very much so. And I think I've just kind of moved away from that somewhat and there's more comedy and there's more relaxed. There's more of these paintings of places in my songs that are more relaxed and probably more accurate. And sometimes there's more hope and more imagination. That's important to me because that's how I'd care to be. I don't want to be a miserable bastard all my whole life, you know.
I really think your lyrics are very, very good.
Thank you.
I mean, then when I read interviews, I go like, I get the impression that you write your lyrics so easy. You sit down on a bar, you get yourself a piece of paper and a pen, and out comes 2 lyrics.
Sometimes it does happen like that, for sure. Yeah. But that's just because I'm sort of like, maybe I'm sitting there and I'm ready and I'm able to contemplate for a little while about what I'm thinking. And then like, bam, there comes the song. It's quite simple.
Hey, so you went to LA and then you get all these ideas for songs and then you just went into the studio, or how did that go?
Yeah, just basically. I mean, we had the studio time already booked, and I made my way out to Los Angeles, and within a week or so of being there, a couple of weeks, we dove right into the process. And I'd actually, to be honest with you, there was a little bit of meandering. I went to Mexico for a week, to Cancun, and I was there for this whole thing with my manager and some of my friends just for a little bit, and then and we went from Cancun into sort of unspecified territory, and then back, and then I went right straight to LA and started the record. So I just landed there, and just out came all the songs. Most of them were written on the day of the recording because that's just how they went. I just knew I was going to make this really big thing. And so some of them were already done and already written, but most of them just that day I decided what I wanted to write about, and I did. And I walked to the studio every day from my hotel, which was on Hollywood Boulevard, and so the walk took about 30 minutes or less. But it was walking down the street, sunshine, looking at tourists and people and shop windows. And so by every time I got to the studio that day, I was full. My mind and my heart were full already, and so it was very easy to write this record that way.
You are very productive, right?
I try to be.
Well, you definitely are. I mean, I also read that you like recorded songs in this. You have these small booths where you can like record your own music on a CD. For instance, you did like 2 songs in a booth like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's 2 or 3 records that are done that just haven't been released yet that are done. They're like 14 songs each, and but I don't want them to interfere with my follow-up to Gold, so they're going to be released in some manner or another, kind of like under the radar, quietly.
Okay, but still, I mean, to record songs like that, I mean, I think it's brilliant.
But it's just, I mean, I think it isn't like it isn't because I'm smart or anything. It's just because I really enjoy it a lot, so I do it a lot. So it's not like it isn't like some kind of like I'm always up in the middle of the night like kind of thing. I just they're just already there, and I put them onto tape. It's very simple. It's maybe the way that someone is, if they're passionate about being like a bicyclist or something, and they say they ride their bicycle every day, or they really like a certain television show and they watch it every day. It's the same thing. I really like to play guitar and to write songs, and so I tend to do it every day. And they build up, and what I have to do is make sure that I get them onto tape. So I think it's a good thing.
So you went into the studio, and then you had to find yourself a band, or I mean, people just walked in and joined you for the jams, or...
Sometimes it happened, but we kind of knew who some of the players were going to be when I first got there. Ethan and I, he knew a bunch of people around town, and Ethan, my producer, Ethan Johns, and he always plays drums, and I always play all the guitars. So, and he can play bass, and so can I, and I can play piano, and we could play all the instruments just by ourselves if we wanted. So the only thing we really did is we just invited our friends in who we knew were pretty good to kind of flesh out the parts where we just wanted to focus more on playing drums and guitar. So it was really simple. And our friends like Chris Stills and Milo De Cruz and Jennifer Condos, these are people that we already knew we liked to play with. Richard Cawson as well. that so we just were like, well, they're in town, let's just have them, and it was real simple like that, because they're all like the same kind of musicians as we are, like in the sense that they all really wanted to play.
I think the production sounds really good too.
I love it. Some in the States, a couple of people said it's overproduced, and I said, because it's actually less produced than my last record. It's more live on the floor than Heartbreaker was.
Actually, that's what I think you really can hear that if you listen to the album. I was like, this is actually so good because you can hear everything really clearly, but you know when you listen to it that there's no fancy stuff going on, no tricks. I mean,
No,
it's just
not at
pure
all.
music.
Yeah, it's exactly what it was when we were recording it. But that's Ethan's style, and that's something that I really get into and think why it makes it work like it does.
For some reason, you're a magnet for famous people.
I don't think that's true.
Emmylou Harris was on one of your records. I mean, she was the one which I thought was like the most beautiful woman in music ever when I was 12.
Wow. Well, you wouldn't be far off. I mean, she's incredible.
I mean, she's on your record.
Yeah, I know. I was
Lucky bastard.
Yeah.
So, I mean, come on. I mean, that's really special, right? I mean, you don't phone those people; they call you, right?
Yeah. No. It's incredible. She actually asked me to sing a Graham Parsons song with her live on American television. That's how we met. Then later on, she came into the studio to record with me on one of my songs, which I thought was really sweet and really great. And I've run into her plenty of times since, and that's pretty cool.
Really cool. Hey, but talking about the album once more, because I mean, we're actually really trying to promote your album. Who did the artwork actually?
I did.
You did it all?
I came up with the ideas. I mean, I didn't take all the photos, obviously, but
Why the guns?
it's just, I think it's funny. They're very tongue-in-cheek. It's like Gene Autry. It's like playing cowboy.
Hey, and one thing that also struck me, and I mean, I guess a lot of people would have asked you about this, but when I got this record, I mean, the planes just crashed into New York, and I got this record and was like, well, this is strange. I mean, a record with an American flag on it, New York, firecracker, enemy fire. I was like, unbelievable.
Well, people also said that there was these weird sort of like references to that stuff on Dylan's Love and Theft. There's a bunch of like lines that could be interpreted, but I just think that that's synchronicity happening. I don't think it really has anything to do with anything. These are topics I flirted with my entire career. I've written songs since I've lived in New York about New York City, and you know, and imagining like really intense situations or using intense imagery is very normal. My bedroom always normally has an American flag up above the bed. Just always has. I don't know why. As a kid, it was just like some kind of rock and roll thing to do. So I understand how it must look very symbiotic. That might be the word. It looks like very much like it's on a parallel. But I think that's more sensationalism and less than reality, because in reality, that should not have happened. What happened should not have happened at all, and it's senseless, and there's no reason for how that happened, and there's no reason for it to have happened. So, and it has nothing to do with rock and roll. So I don't really see it as being a parallel.
Talking about the music, you also write a song about Sylvia Plath.
Yeah, Sylvia Plath.
You're a really big fan, right?
I'm just interested in her, just immensely.
You have to explain to people who don't know who she is. She's a famous poet from America. She moved to England, and she died at a really young age. She committed suicide.
Yes, she did.
She was a brilliant student, right? That's what I hear.
A brilliant student. She was a marvelous author. She wrote a book called Johnny Panic and the Bible of Dreams. She wrote a book called The Bell Jar. And her poetry and as well as her books are... like there's a poetry book called Ariel that kind of talks about the dissemination of someone's character and soul in face of like growing older and the slowing of time, and she articulated on day-to-day normal events the way a lot of our authors never really did, like perhaps maybe like Emily Dickinson did, could pick apart what it was like to sew up a blanket or something and could write about it extensively to the point where you're almost mesmerized at what are the little things in your day that you miss out, that you don't pay attention to. That's what I really liked about Sylvia. And for some reason, just her having such cognitive interest in very small and minute details of things in her daily life matched her with being a very depressive, very removed character. it's sort of mysterious how beautiful she was inwardly and yet how tragic she became and was outwardly.
This was like also totally productive, right?
Yes, extraordinarily. But that was sort of the roux of the day.
We have to stop. One more thing. I couldn't help overhearing when I came into the room. You were making music with Beth Orton, is that true?
Yeah, Beth and I just covered a Rolling Stone song, Brown Sugar, for a compilation, and worked on a song for her record, and both things turned out really good and stuff. I think we might do more. She's really quite fascinating and quite good.
So, are you working on new material already?
Yes, I am.
What's it going to sound like?
Half of it's going to be very bluesy, and half of it's going to be extraordinarily romantic.
And religious, you also already said?
Excuse me?
And a little bit religious, you also said?
No, I just think that some of it might sound a little bit like gospel music.
Are you religious, actually?
I'm religious about everything that I believe in.
Can we see you live, actually, in Holland? You going to play?
Yeah, you missed me last week.
But I mean, are you coming back? We have to transmit this interview, so...
Oh, yeah. Well, I just played the Paradiso, so I probably shouldn't come back for a couple months, but yeah, I'm sure I'll be back. I mean, I like playing here, so it probably won't be too terribly long. I actually prefer to tour in over here a lot more anyway. It's just more interesting and more fun for me, you know, because it's new and different. So, yeah, it shouldn't be too terribly long. You never know.
Okay, you have to go. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.